And as you know, one of the ways that modern politicians get around the gatekeepers of the traditional media is to have big social media followings. Now, generally speaking, this has been something that has worked to most politicians' advantages, and certainly it has worked to politicians who don't get much mainstream media attention's advantage in particular. Craig Kelly is somebody who was able to use Facebook quite effectively, and there were people who wanted to hear what he had to say. The now independent member for Hughes joins us now because despite the fact that you had 86,000 people on your Facebook page, someone somewhere decided to squash it. You are gone. So we'll get into what they told you, but what is your reaction to having one of the few places you can get your voice out squashed?
Well, Paul, this is an appalling form of censorship. Facebook have simply squashed and obliterated my page. This is the modern technological version of a book burn. Everything has been censored. And, Paul, they've even failed to explain to me what they say is so-called misinformation. I stand by 100% everything that I've posted. It's backed by science, it's backed by evidence, it's backed by research, it's backed by the opinions of experts from around the world. Unfortunately, in the Facebook world, that you have these government officials that make this pronouncement, and any contrary opinion to these government officials, they want to deem as misinformation. This is also, Paul, it's an interference by a foreign company in the Australian political process. If I, as a member of Parliament and as a candidate at the next election, am unable to post onto Facebook, and yet people I'm up against are able to, that is a foreign entity interfering in the Australian political system, and this should not be on, and we should have legislation that prevents this.
Now, the technologies these social media companies have, if they want to, they can put like a little slide over any of your posts to say, before you look at this, government officials disagree with everything that's been said here. That's their right because they own that notice board. But the idea that they don't give you any information, you can't really appeal when you just get wiped off, that's the thing worth talking about here because, again, you're an elected member of Parliament, and my view is the best way to defeat an idea you disagree with is with more evidence, or free speech versus free speech, not you don't exist.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Paul. Remember, those social media platforms have a very strong market power. They're like the old town square where you would get up on a Saturday afternoon on the soapbox and away you would go. To think that you would be banned from the town square from not speaking, this is something that you would expect in a totalitarian state. Now, fortunately, over in Florida, only last night, where there's Governor Ron DeSantis, there's the governor of Florida, they put legislation through their Senate there that basically bans Facebook from deplatforming political candidates and bans them from deplatforming political speech and what they deem as religious speech. Now, this is, I think, is a very good law that they have in Florida. And I'm planning, as soon as Parliament recommences, to introduce a bill that is mirrored upon that legislation out of Florida and introduce it in the Australian House of Parliament. And I hope that I could get a seconder for that bill, and we could actually get that bill and legislation in Australia like it is in Florida.
So where can people find you now? If you're not on Facebook, and I don't know what your Twitter presence is, where's home base now?
Well, there's Twitter. Luckily, Twitter is still alive at the moment, but how long that is for? There's still your old web page. But look, the reality is Facebook is a major platform for communication in this country, especially when it comes to political speech. And it shouldn't be the situation that an elected member of, it doesn't matter what sort of politics you're from, even if you're from the far left of the Greens. And it should be the principle of, I may disagree with what you say, but I'll fight to my death. You're right to say it. That principle appears to be thrown out the window. And what's been disappointing is many people on the left today have sort of sneered and chuckled about, Craig Kelly's been kicked off Facebook. The old lefties, which Mark was an old lefty, they would stand up and they would fight for freedom of speech, even if it was ideas they disagree with. Today, they're more totalitarian lefties, and anyone that disagrees with them, they should be trampled and silenced and censored.
Good on you, Craig. Nice to talk to you, mate. All the best with that bill in the Parliament.
Thanks, Paul.
Now, Chris Kenny is here with Mark Latham with Michael Kroger. Chris, again, you had a little dip around and had a look at what was on Facebook. The stuff that was completely okay to be on Facebook that could be factually challenged, yet Craig Kelly, gone.
Yeah, look, this is a really important story. I missed it yesterday and caught up with it with you after I got back from Media Watch. I saw you touch on it last night, so I followed it up today. And just one of the things I did was... Well, one of the things I did quickly was just jump onto some other Facebook pages and say, well, you know, if Facebook want to get rid of misinformation and lies, let's see what else they allow. And I went onto the Greenpeace page and they said that the Morrison government is not taking any action against climate. Well, that's wrong. We're part of the Paris Agreement. We're meeting our Paris target. So they're allowing that lie up there. And then there's the Australia Institute, a hard-left think tank, and they're saying that the diesel tax rebate is a fossil fuel subsidy. That's wrong. No, it's a tax rebate that's available to all industries. They also said that renewable energy is reducing the price of electricity in Australia. That's exactly the opposite to the reality. So Facebook allows the lies it likes, the green left lies, and it shuts down the debate about possible treatments of COVID that Craig Kelly likes to share. I think it's disgraceful.
So, Mark, as a person, you know, you've got your Facebook page, Mark Latham's Outsiders, go find it. How often do they try to sort of punch you in the guts for straying outside of the acceptable norms? And how does a politician keep having a voice if the gatekeepers won't talk to you and the digital gatekeepers won't let you play?
Well, I don't want to encourage this particular process, Paul, but we do lose the odd post. I think when people complain, you get lefties that get on the page and say, I'm reporting you, like they're sort of dobbers in the schoolyard. And then you might lose a post where I assume the bots come in and search for certain words. So I suppose the skill is avoid those words, use synonyms for those words to keep your material up and beat the bots. So all of that's pretty wacky, isn't it? And in the case of Craig Kelly, where's the Morrison government? I mean, all the hullabaloo about making Facebook and others pay the old media companies for content. Where's Josh Frydenberg and the Morrison government saying a member of our federal parliament, duly elected, whether you like him or not, has been dragged down off his main public platform for communicating with his electorate? It's absolutely shameful.
Well, remember, Labor people are able to use their Facebook page to say that Australia is a white supremacist country. Literally, Australia Day was a white pride event. But before I get to a discussion which